Shall I do the intro? Until we're ready, Anna, can you put yourself on mute? Thank you.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And to feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Mad world. Mad world.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can't hear, sorry.
You can't hear.
No.
I know,
Dan interrupted me very
this is the
rudely.
way the world is now.
I know.
Thank you so much. That was Ella from Access Creative College.
Yeah.
And who have we got next? We've got one more.
I've got one more song.
Have you got one more
Yeah.
song? What is it?
Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
Dreams by
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. A classic. Come on, crack on, Ella.
Now here you go again, you say you want your freedom. Well, who am I to keep you down? It's only right that you should play the way you feel it. But listen carefully to the sound of your loneliness, like a heartbeat drives you mad. In the stillness of remembering what you had, and what you lost, and what you had, and what you lost. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. They say women, they will come and they will go. When the rain washes you clean, you'll know. You'll know. Now here I go again, I see the crystal vision. I keep my visions to myself. It's only me who wants to wrap around your dreams. And have you any dreams you like to sell? Dreams of loneliness, like a heartbeat drives you mad. In the stillness of remembering what you had, and what you lost, and what you had, oh, what you lost. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. Women, they will come and they will go. When the rain washes you clean, you'll know. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. Women, they will come and they will go. When the rain washes you clean, you'll know. You'll know. You will know. Ooh, you'll know.
Woo! Round of applause for Ella Smith. Now, Ella, is it your mum's birthday today?
Yeah.
Right, okay. A big United Nations happy birthday, the People's Hub Zebra Partnership, birthday bumps for your mum.
Thank you.
I won't ask you how old she is.
She won't let me tell you.
No. Right, okay, you pop away.
Thank
you very
you.
much. Have we got Mackenzie? You know what? It's fantastic that we're allowing some of these young people to perform at this stage. Mackenzie, woo woo woo. Okay, what are you going to sing for us, Mackenzie?
Well, oh my gosh, this is so good. Well, first I'm going to sing the song "Rise Up" by Andrea Day. I just think it fits really well with everything we're doing. The first time I sang it was in front of loads of women, and it got in a group of 4,000 women. So.
Okay,
Woo.
and before you start, because this is afternoon tea with the SDGs, I've got my drink here in my zebra cup. I hope you all got your cups. Oh, the panel have all got their cups and mugs. Fantastic. And anybody else watching as well, make sure you get your brew. This is our virtual afternoon tea, and we are being welcomed and entertained by two young fantastic performers, and this time it's Mackenzie. Off you go, my sweet.
Okay. Broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round. You can find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we can walk it out and move mountains, go walk it out. Mountains, and I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, I know you'll feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet and mountains, bring it to its feet. Let's mountains, and I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. And for that we have each other. And for that we have each other. And we will rise, and we will rise in all. We will rise. And I'll rise up, high like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up, rise like the day. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. There you go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, yeah. That's my first song. Yeah, my second song is going to be All I Ask by Adele. This is a song I've sang on repeat for about a year now, so it should be good enough.
Nice one, go for it.
Thank you. Yeah.
scared of having nothing left. Look, don't get me wrong, I know there is no tomorrow. All I ask is if this is my last night with you. Hold me like I'm more than just a friend. Give me a memory I can use. Take me by the hand, what we do, what lovers do. It matters how this ends. What if I never love again? I don't need your honesty. It's already in your eyes, and I'm sure my eyes, they speak for me. No one knows me like you do. Since you're the only one that matters, tell me, who do I run to? And don't get me wrong, I know there is no tomorrow. All I ask is if this is my last night with you. Hold me like I'm more than just a friend. Give me a memory I can use. Take me by the hand, what we do, what lovers do. It matters how this ends. 'Cause what if I never love again? Let this be your lesson in love. Let this be the way we remember us. I don't wanna be cruel or vicious. I am asking for forgiveness. All I ask is if this is my last night with you. Hold me like I'm more than just a friend. Give me a memory I can use. Take me by the hand, what we do, what lovers do. It matters how this ends. What if I never love again?
Thanks.
That is fantastic. That is brilliant. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mackenzie Ryan. The young people do not, well, any performer now doesn't have a lot of opportunity to perform because of this terrible COVID and coronavirus. So it's a fantastic chance to get them to perform. So thank you, ladies. I'll hand over to Alex Davies. Hi, Alex.
Hello everyone, so hopefully you can hear me all right. So as Carol just said, my name is Alex Davis. Welcome to the afternoon tea with the SDGs event. My name is Alex Davis, MYP, and as well as having the absolute privilege of being taught by Carol here at Access Creative College on the event production course, I am a member of UK Youth Parliament for Stockport and founder of No Child Left Behind UK, which is a community interest company which aims to support bereaved young people, and we are currently working towards Sustainable Development Goals 3, 10 and 16. So before I introduce my lovely host Carol, I have a few housekeeping guidelines for everyone to follow, just in order to keep this meeting running as smooth as possible. So I would just like to ensure everyone has a quiet environment to stay in. So this is just essential for everyone to hear each other, and there is no kind of sound issues to work with. Audience, please use the chat box to communicate, and I will be monitoring that like a hawk to make sure any questions are fed back for everyone to hear. Panel, please keep microphones on mute unless you're being talked to directly. Again, this is just to avoid any kind of unnecessary sound issues. And if possible, if you can wear headphones, just so it's all contained. Panel and audience, just refrain from using any offensive language or gestures, and please avoid expressing any kind of political or religious viewpoint that is not relevant to the Sustainable Development Goals. So now that I've got all the specifics and technicalities over, it's my pleasure to introduce Carol. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her first, but I do say a little bit, but she is doing quite a lot at the moment, so it might take a little longer. So Carol is a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, and she's the head of the Zebra Partnership, which was founded in 2000. It is a boutique agency based in Greater Manchester that brings together other freelancers in the field of campaigns, event management, marketing and publishing on a project-by-project basis here in the UK as well as overseas. Now, the Zebra Partnership was the recipient of the 2019 Inclusive Companies Certificate of Excellence. Carol Ann is on the Northern Power Women Power List, Global Goodwill Ambassador Advocate for Women's Rights, Equality, Diversion, Inclusion and Belonging. She's also the Director of Burns CIC, External Relationships Director of the People's Hub UN, supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As I mentioned earlier, Carol teaches me here at Access Creative College. She is the Marketing, Business and Event Production Lecturer here, guest lecturer at the University of Manchester and former Associate Lecturer at Manchester Met University. She's also delivered a lecture at the UN Youth Association in Denmark and is part of the UN Global Festival of Action in Germany. A Queen Bee coaching ambassador, Carol Ann collaborated with various organisations to bring their internationally recognised feminist conferences to Manchester. So she is the co-founder of the Pankhurst Centre-based Ada Lovelace Zebra Global Wiki Editathon, which is a quest to improve diversity on Wikipedia. Now, if this is enticing you and you'd like to learn more, Carol is on social media, so please engage with her on Twitter is Zebra_Carol, and Facebook is the Zebra Partnership, and LinkedIn is Carol Ann Whitehead, FRSA GGGA. Now, after all that, I think it's time for me to introduce you to Carol. It's quite a mouthful, that, isn't it, Carol?
It is quite a mouthful, and I think I just basically got you to do that as a joke, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm committed to the cause, Carol.
Because of all my students, Alex is the one that talks the most. So
absolutely.
I thought I'd utilise his best skill of being a bit lippy and get him to introduce me. Thank you. Can you go and be my co-pilot and monitor the questions?
Of course, Carol.
Okay, are we all ready? Welcome to the afternoon teas with the SDGs. It's a provocation to stimulate discussion and action. So I'm going to go straight in to introduce our welcome speaker. It is a huge honour to welcome the Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Councillor Anna Rothery, to open this event today. So basically, she's been a politician till about 2006. As councillor, she supported the Black, Asian and minority ethnic community and became involved in activities including Operation Black Vote, a scheme to get more people with BAME backgrounds into politics. She became the first councillor of Liverpool to speak at the United Nations in Geneva, addressing representatives from more than 50 countries on religious, linguistic and cultural differences in 2012. She taught me to say that earlier this week, actually. Beyond already making history in 2019 by becoming the city's first black mayor, she has made history once more by becoming the first mayor in the city's council history to serve 2 consecutive terms, so September 2019 to May 2021. Anna Rothery was named the UK's most influential black politician at the National Baton Awards 2019. Without further ado, the floor is yours, Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Councillor Anna Rothery. Hmm?
Is that whilst we're very busy focusing on the gender equality, what we are still seeing and what we're actually part and parcel of creating is that the emphasis is on gender, so women moving forward, but then there's still a real disparity in terms of Black women and where do we fit into that. So whilst the gender parity is going up, you know, the race equality element is still staying quite stagnant. And so we need to ensure that we look at gender equality in its entirety and we make space for our Black sisters as well. And so there's a big conversation that needs to take place. It won't take place here because I've only got a few minutes. And so looking at the hierarchy, we don't want to create another hierarchy within one. So there's no point in us fighting against, gender inequality and then creating another hierarchical sort of shift in terms of leaving Black women behind. So looking at eliminating systemic racism and inequality, and also we have to explore the existing organizational structures by looking at the psyche and cultures that allow this to take place. So, it's not enough to say we've got a huge commitment to gender equality, but we don't really want to talk about Black women and how they focus it within gender equality. So the second point is SDG 17, partnership for the girls. So building effective partnerships around shared goals with ethical and moral and robust business cases to underpin a shared vision. And that is really a crucial way forward in terms of how we go forward on SDG 17. And so at the moment, I'm working not just in Liverpool, I've got a very strong partnership set up with Bristol. And so we're working together on an initiative called Step Up and Step Forward. It originally started off as Stepping Up in Bristol. We brought it to Liverpool working in collaboration. And so we've called it Step Up, Step Forward. So we're engaging with some of our key players and across all the sectors, large companies. We've got free universities in Liverpool, engaging with those universities to look at how we can make a difference in terms of not just access to education and qualifications, or even access to employment. But the crucial point is not just about gaining employment. It's about the recruitment and selection policies, how we recruit. We still fall far behind in terms of recruitment from diverse communities. So we need to look at how we go about doing that recruitment. But then importantly, once somebody's employed, that is the big issue is about the retention of people from diverse communities and also about progression routes. And so what we tend to see over and over again is people either fall off at the end of gaining their qualifications because they can't secure employment, or they go into employment and stay at the same level for many, many years with no opportunities for progression routes. And so that's where our focus is. So we've got some great partners. We've got Liverpool Bid, Professional Liverpool, Chamber of Commerce, LFC, EFC, and the numbers are growing in terms of the people who really want to put this into action. And I would say that the climate is, at the right place at the moment. We've had some awful, times with COVID, the rise of Black Lives Matters, focusing on, the inhumane treatment of Black people globally. But that what's given us the time and space to tap into emotional intelligence is the fact that we are removed from our day-to-day life to a great extent, and so that gives us the time to actually unpick systemic racism and inequality and what that actually means in real terms to real people. Prior to COVID and Black Lives Matters, discrimination, everybody thought it was appalling, but we moved on swiftly from one incident to the other. So the focus has really stayed here at the moment. And so SG8, decent work and economic growth. So that's about tackling systemic discrimination. As I've just mentioned, the program that I'm working on, I've built it on a model called end to end. And the end to end model is basically what I've just discussed in terms of taking somebody from access to infant secondary school and taking them right through the whole gambit of education and qualifications, and then taking them into employment. And then the crucial part is working with potential employers so that they know how to engage from diverse communities and, more importantly, retain those diverse communities within their workplace. So it's growing a strong and productive community based on economic equality. And economic equality for our most marginalized communities is the crucial key forward. We can't participate in society if we don't have the financial wherewithal in order to do so. So just quickly moving on to SDG 10, reduced inequalities. Um, Working with one of Liverpool's universities, Hope University, what we've been able to put in place as part of the catalogue of initiatives is the Black Social Workers Programme and Black Teachers Programme. Now, people might say, why are you doing something that resembles a positive action program? Well, the simple answer is because we need to. We shouldn't have to in 2020, but we do need to. But more importantly, what we have to also ensure we do is that we create or give a platform and showcase strong Black role models. We've got our young people whose aspirations are waning, you know, because they can't see any way forward. They don't see people in prominent positions, and so they don't know what to aspire to. And so by supporting the Black Workers Programme, social workers program, and importantly, the Black Teachers program, we are making sure that we've got key people. And the difference between this and other programs is completely 100% a Black program. So from the students, it's a foundation degree, a master's in both instances, but also the wraparound services will be, the mentors will be taken from Black social workers and Black teachers. They will be put through the education practitioners program free of charge, and then they will be paid to mentor the students. So it's education, which is generating economic equality by also creating employment in a seamless way of doing things. So that literally brings me to the end. But I think you can see that my passion lies in terms of inequality and challenging that. But it's also about looking at, at the moment we've got a situation where we're looking at enslavement and street names and statues, which is all very much respected in my mind, and is really something that needs to be looked at and challenged. And we need to have an open and honest debate about that. But we must also be mindful that the Black community does not come from a homogenous group. We are made up of many different people with many different belief and value systems. And so we have to have the opportunity to have the conversation and to consult about a way forward. My personal opinion is that we are not the sum total of enslavement. We are so much, much more. And so we need to also concentrate on the positives about the positive contributions we've made to society over many, many hundreds of years. And we also need to really be fighting to decolonize our education system so people have a real sense of self, a sense of place, and a sense of what we've actually contributed. So I'll end on that. Thank you very much.
Hello, can you hear me? Anna, that was wonderful and very, very, very passionate. And I know you're really, really busy. So I hope you can stay for the entirety of this event. But thank you very much. So, yes, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. And thank you all for joining us. Afternoon tea with the SDGs is connected to our Pankhurst afternoon tea and introduction to the SDGs last year at the University of Manchester Chancellor Hotel site. And the event also coincided with the UN's General Assembly in New York, where the People's Hub Ethical Director connected with two amazing change makers, Dr. Leanne Teal-Rutkowski in USA and Feluke Michael from Nigeria, both on our panel today. So welcome, ladies. And to mark the United Nations Day, I get my teeth in, the UK-based The People's Hub, the Zebra Partnership, powered by Access Creative College, which is the studio where we're at today, are bringing together experts from international organisations, NGOs, academia and individuals to discuss their projects and the challenges and opportunities for pursuing the SDGs prior, during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. So the aim of the event is to invite you, if you've not already done so, to embrace the SDGs and align them with your projects. If you're not sure how you can, ask the panel, message. Alex is there, waiting to take your questions, and be inspired by their stories and join the international network on the People's Hub. So I'm going to introduce you to Michael Pardon. Michael Pardon is the director of the People's Hub. He is the tech wizard behind the way the website looks, the design, and how it would work going forward. Michael, are you with us?
I am here, Carol. Thank you very much.
Right. Can you, because we said it was a launch, but really it's a soft launch, isn't it? Can you succinctly just talk about the People's Hub and the aims for it?
Yeah, of course. So the People's Hub is, in a few guys, been trying to be built for around about 2 years now. It's gone through a few different versions that we've been looking at. One part we've been very specifically looking at is how can we build a community website where we can build all these different SDGs, all these different things that are going on around the world in one place so people can access them and see what's going on. We know, even just from the conversations today, we know there's a lot going on in terms of different events happening, but it's sometimes hard to broadcast those events in a clear manner, or always trying to involve the people that would really be good to get there, but they've just not had the option, or they've not seen the event taking place. So the main purpose is to build this platform where all these different communities can go on, update all of their events, news, causes, and anyone can see what's going on based on the different types of SDGs or things going on worldwide or within their local community in one succinct location. So that's the main one. Broadly, further on down the line, we're looking at, after we get all these communities in one place, having a place where someone can go to, and if they need support, so if someone is potentially homeless on the streets and they need support, all these different communities we've already built on the platform, there is already places within local areas where there might be a homeless shelter or there might be a food bank where they can find the relevant resources to actually support them as an individual. And we create this one platform as a community where there is people that can help and then people that need help all in one place.
And I was out having a conversation this morning, just connected with Paul from the Office for National Statistics. And one thing is, yes, people are doing sort of supporting the SDGs from a governmental level or an institutional level. This is grassroots, and this is what works, and this is what will make us aim and hit the targets for the SDGs. This is getting to the ordinary people, yes?
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to make sure that we push it on places like social media. We get the people that are already supporting everyone. So I've known people that have done things like delivering food to homeless shelters, or they've done them in their own home or provided transportation. And not that they want to be shouted out as heroes of their local community, but we need somewhere where there's a place where everyone can get involved and support each other, and there's that awareness about what's going on in your local area. And I think some of that often gets lost or swallowed up with big media pulling over certain parts where it's not always easy to be seen about what's happening down the street that you might not even know about on your own street.
Yeah, because one of the key words is transparency, isn't it?
Yeah, so one of the things that we really want to broadcast is when we do have more communities coming on board, when we are doing things like causes and donations, we want to be very clear about where those funds are going. So actually, is 45% of it going to shareholders and it's not going to the people that need it, or where are those funds going? You know, we know that people need marketing budgets to support that, and that's fine, but we need to make sure that at least a large portion of it is going to people that the key donations for. So if we are doing homelessness, how much is going towards those people, or towards sustainable housing, or towards, you know, food and drink for those individuals?
Okay, and give us the URL, Michael.
So the website, so currently we have a holder website, which goes a little bit about what we're actually looking at doing. And there is a registration form, which you will be emailed when the live site goes forward, which is looking close to the start of 2021. So only a few months down the line where our live community platform will be there. But there is a part where you can register interest, and we'll email you further down the line. And that website is thepeopleshub.org. So just thepeopleshub.org. I'll send a link over on the WhatsApp, the YouTube channel, so people can also locate it as well.
Fantastic. And there's the when you're talking about this event, and this is to everybody watching on YouTube and on or signed in on the panel as well. It's at the People's Hub UK for Twitter. If you can use hashtag UN75 at the Zebra Partnership, hashtag Zebra Tribe, and also hashtag Local Heroes for Global Goals, because that will be the name of the conference for next year. It was supposed to be this year, but a little thing like COVID got in the way. So it's going to be next year, 2021. And if you're not somebody who uses Twitter, alternatively, there's Facebook, the People's Hub, or the Zebra Partnership. Michael, thank you for joining us. Hope you can stay on.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right, panel, are you lubricated? Don't laugh at me. I'm going to briefly introduce the panel. I'm not going to do a huge introduction. I'm just going to say keywords like great and fab, and they're awesome. The panel, I'm going to go roll call. Dr. Leanne Teal-Rutkowski, give us a shout out. She's in the USA, so there's a time difference. Are you there, Dr. Leanne? Can we hear you? Oh, bit of a slip. Mike
Here
Stevenson.
I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, hi, Dr. Leanne. Mike Stevenson. Come on, shout out for Scotland.
Hello.
Yeah, brilliant. Hi,
this
Mike.
This is me all the way from Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yes, you're in Edinburgh. Professor Jackie Carter.
That's me. Hello from Manchester.
Hello. Andrea Zapahova.
Hello from Slovakia.
Oh, she's in Slovakia now. Andrea was one of my, she was my United Nations Youth intern last year. I think I scared her a bit. She ran off and left me. No, we had a great time, didn't we, Andrea?
Indeed, yes.
Gemma Smith. She's technically my Global Goodwill Ambassador boss, aren't you, Gemma?
Yeah, I'm the chair for the Global Goodwill Ambassadors. Really happy to be here. Hello, everyone.
Hello. And Feluke Michael, powerhouse, the global disruptor that you are. Hi, Feluke from Nigeria.
Hello, everyone. I'm right here in Lagos. It's sunny. I'm happy to be with you today.
Oh, that's just, I'm jealous. I'm really, really jealous. So how I'm going to work this is I'm going to go from each of you. You've got some time to introduce yourself, your experience, what your SDG is, but also as well the projects that you're connected with. And if you're not connected with the projects, there's a reason why you're on here. Then also share, some visions and ideas and what help you can give going forward to organisations, to charities, to groups, and to individuals if they need any support moving forward and getting involved with the SDGs, because that's the key thing. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Leanne. You're over in New Hampshire, I believe.
Yes, northern New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, surrounded by bears.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we have mini lions, no tigers, and yes, bears.
Okay, and she's wearing a fantastic hat so you can remember her next time. The floor's yours, Dr. Leanne.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, my esteemed fellow panelists. I'm very honored to be part of this recognition of the 75th United Nations birthday and the launch of the People's Hub, which I think is going to be extremely, incredibly wonderful. I plan on keeping you very busy with my projects. Basically, I come from the fashion industry, and actually this is one of my hats, and it's compostable and recyclable. It's part of it's part of what I do. I thought I'd give you a little tutorial on actually what I'm wearing and where I'm going with this. Basically, I'm a sustainable fashion scholar and a globally recognized designer. So I have a very strange platform of where I'm coming from. I understand things in multi-dimension, and that gets me into a lot of trouble. So I feel that sustainable fashion as we know it has become a bastardized version of what it was intended to be. People, maybe 1% of what they're producing is done very well or sustainably, but 99% of it is done horribly. So it's called greenwashing. And so basically, I've been consulting and teaching and designing for years. And about 10 years ago, I auditioned, and it was a funny story. I took the train to New York City with about 5 hat boxes on the Amtrak. And I met at the Hotel Pennsylvania in New York City, across from the train station. And the costume, the producer of this off-Broadway show was auditioning for a costumer and a hat maker. So I I meet her there and I go, where do you want me to take these? She says, right here. So we started this whole thing. I'm going through my hats in the middle of this lobby, and literally 50, 60, 100 people started going around in a circle looking at what we were doing. And as it turns out, the off-Broadway show is about a woman with breast cancer. She was the producer of the Blue Man Group, and she decided to take this on the road. So little did I know, I would be on starting my path to sustainable fashion. So as I was hired as the designer, and as I was going through the journey, I said, I'm designing for a woman who's going through breast cancer, and this was just a off-Broadway show. But I said, I need to investigate. That's when I started investigating environmental issues with fabric, textiles, dyeing. And I was blessed to team up with John Schneeman, who actually did the clothes for Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada. And he had never had John had never had an environmental friendly textile walk into his studio. So I bring bamboo one day and we did an experiment. We lit a flame to it. And it was interesting because when you light a flame to a bamboo textile, it just sort of smokes up and goes away. When you do these plastic-based textiles, they melt. So that began my journey into the whole realm of sustainable fashion. And then after having my consulting firm for several years, I decided to create a nonprofit which would address the Impact Fashion Hub, which would address head on the fashion industry and start holding them to task. So basically, my Impact Fashion Hub, is a catalyst for action where we restore what you deplete, revitalize the country of origin, and renew with a plan from design to your product going to the shelf, so that we are no longer going into communities in Lagos and in Nigeria and Dhaka and decimating these communities. And while the fashion industry becomes enriched, it devalues the lives of the people that are producing for them. And that's unacceptable to me. So I became very involved after post Rana Plaza, when the factory collapsed in Bangladesh. I've been working with factories there with outreach with the factory owners, so that they can understand how sustainability really will enrich not only them, but their workers. So we've been having great success with that. Currently, I could be talking for 2 hours. I'm trying to cut it down. So currently, I am working with the African Heritage Foundation, Nigeria. They approached me probably about 3 or 4 months ago and asked if I would help them revitalize the textile and fashion industry in Nigeria. And I am so blessed to be working with, I call it my world-class team, my world-class teammates, two United Nations volunteers. To start, the three of us are working on a pro bono basis to organize the event. And it's been a real eye-opener for me because I have what I call triangulation, and it's got to involve the policymakers, the diplomats. It has to involve the users of the supply chains and the producers. So this triangulation can be very powerful. So as we were investigating this event, what do we find out? But out of 280 factories in Nigeria, only 20 of them are viable. They have completely been, gone into disrepair. And my saying is, there is no reason in the world for any country to be third world, because all those people are brilliant. It's the leadership that is holding them back. And in my industry, that's the case.
Can I bring Faluki in on that? Because I can see her nodding there.
Mm-hmm.
Faluki, do you want to comment on that? Because you are based in Nigeria.
I didn't. Thank you so very much, Carol, for bringing me into this short discussion. I need to let you know that, just like Dr. Leanne has spoken, there is no. Why should any company be run down or be in the state of disrepair? The problem we have back here in Africa basically is leadership, and this is what is affecting us at the moment. If you see right now in Lagos, we've been on shutdown for over 72 hours. Why? Because the leader refused to do what it is that they should do. So we don't have leaders with empathy. Okay,
yeah.
That is.
And I'm gonna rein it in, because we don't want names or treading down into that cul-de-sac of political comment. But we hear you there in relation to that. And so I'm going to flick back to Dr. Leanne. So Leanne, what are you, and because I'm guessing you're talking about Nathaniel and the fantastic team with Nathaniel. What are you looking at to move forward?
So this is the interesting thing, and Faluke might find this very interesting. We have been researching. I personally have been researching for close to 3 months. And my two incredible volunteers from the United Nations, one is located in Dubai, the other is Bhutanese, who is actually living in New York City. And we decided, and Faluke is right. Lagos has been under shutdown for 72 hours. How can we bring an event there? How can we bring an event to Abuja where, through no fault of the people, it's the environment surrounding their lives? So we are looking to partner with either Ghana or South Africa. So we're in negotiations right now to have a partnership so that it'll uplift Nigeria. We have two strengths that we're playing to there. They also have good relationships. And we're actually in the throes of figuring that out now. So like I say, sustainable fashion is anything but fashionable. We love our fashion, but it's how you get there. It's like, where does the seed go? How is it grown? How is it harvested? Are slaves harvesting it? You can have an outfit fit for a rock star, but what's the point if it was made by slave labor? So
forced labor or slave labor, that can't go on.
No. So anyway, that's generally what's going on. And I have also, the team and I have developed 17 SDG strengths in actionable results. We created measurable metrics for all 17 SDGs, so that when we're going in and we're working and creating these footprints, we're measuring. We're not just happy talking.
Brilliant.
So
and what I want to do, because I want to come back to that, because I want to make sure that the other panelists get to speak. But we've got a handle of where you're coming from there, and we'll never forget that hat, Dr. Leanne, which is just,
I have more where this came from. I have one for all of the panelists.
You see, well, when we can meet next year for the local heroes for global goals, panelists, did you hear that? You've got to wear one of those hats from Dr. Leanne. I'm going to move swiftly on to Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leanne, because I'm just keeping an eye on time.
I hope I didn't run over. Like I said, it's a good thing you stopped me.
Oh, well, do you know what? I'm going to give you your own workshop, to be fair. So Mike is based in Scotland. He's based in Edinburgh. And I was going to steal one of his quotes because he has got lots of quotes, and he did this for an educational talk that he did. He's a motivator, but he likes to describe what he is. And one of the things he said was, children ask why. That's how they stretch and grow. Rekindle that childlike curiosity, and we find reason to progress. Let it lie latent, and we lose focus and purpose in and out of work. Mike Stevenson, the floor's yours.
Thank you very much. And as the only man here visible, I feel an immense responsibility to represent my gender in a responsible way. And I want to start by saying that the SDGs are a great focus for us. And I'm very optimistic. I want to start with that because I am really optimistic about the future, because I think that now we're on the precipice of a dramatic change across the world. And I'll tell you why I think that. First of all, there's this pandemic, which has taught us that, challenges are genuinely global. The second thing is a younger generation, which I think is immensely talented. And I speak in universities, I speak in colleges, and I listen and I ask them, not what your individual dream is, but what is your collective dream? And almost, without fail, they will roughly comply with the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. Young people do not want to grow up in the world that their parents grew up in. And I think that's brilliant. And I think we're seeing leadership amongst young people. We're seeing innovation amongst young people, and we're seeing global connectiveness as well. Now, I want to go back because there's two of the SDGs that I'm particularly passionate about. One is no poverty, and the other is about having decent work and economic growth. But I have to say, economic growth does not equate with decent work, because if you look over the last 20 years of our growth, just in this country, the average earnings have come down in real terms. So I want to differentiate them. But let me just take you back to when I was younger, much younger. This was in the 1960s and 1967 specifically. And I found myself sleeping out. I was in London, and it was cold and it was uncomfortable and it was dangerous, and all those things you associate with being, cast out into the wilderness, because that's what it felt like. And two things happened over the next 2 years, which really defined me and the journey that I've been on. The first was that when I was sleeping out one night in Piccadilly Circus, it was about -3. Yes, even London gets cold. And this van drew up, and I was taken by this charity to a hostel called the Spike in Peckham. And I was told that they would give me accommodation for the night, and the next day would help me find something more permanent. And I thought, brilliant. When I arrived there, I was shown into a child's room, and the first words that were spoken to me were, "Take your clothes off," which I did. Next thing I knew, there was a hose pointed at me. And I have to tell you, I felt so small because of that experience. I escaped back into the streets because I felt at least there I had dignity. And I learned something very, very critical that day. That is that, you know, all these interactions we have with people, you can either lift their spirits or belittle them. And I decided to do the former for the rest of my life. And that's what I've tried to do. The other experience I had was a few years later when I was working, and I was what you would call a peripatetic bricklayer's assistant, going from one site to the other. And it was pretty soulless. You did your work. You did it under instruction. And then one day, this all changed. I arrived at a start from scratch site in Earl's Court. And I was welcomed by a big Welsh foreman with a broken nose and a soft hat. And he put his arm around me and he says, "Welcome, Michael. Before you start, I want to show you something." And he showed me the drawings of this building. And he said, "This is the palace you're building." And suddenly I felt this huge surge of importance. Because what we need above all else is to feel valued, to feel significant. And poverty grinds people down. Poverty is no one's fault. And we have, you know, for so many years, we have, you know, labeled people as feckless, work shy, lazy. And, you know, when you're down there, it is so easy to allow yourself to lose all motivation, to allow yourself, you know, your confidence to be chipped away, to feel that you have no significance and no value. That's what poverty does. But it also means that we are missing out on some of the richest talents that I know of, because it's in those areas, often with the highest levels of poverty, you find the greatest, you know, innovation, you find the entrepreneurship, you find the humour, you find the creativity. I was in South Easter House in Glasgow, and it's one of those legendary Glasgow estates, which is very large. It's got 45,000 people living there. And at the time, there was nothing of any significance in the area. And I asked the question in this room full of people, you know, how can you sum up life in this part of Easter House in one sentence? And there was a silence, and this older woman, she put her hand up and she says, "Well, son, see if you're wanting a suntan or a criminal lawyer's. It's a brilliant place to live. See if you want to buy a banana, you've got to get on a bus and go a mile down the road." So we use that banana, that elusive banana, as this campaign message. So what I do now is I aim to inspire, empower, and motivate people, whether they're in organizations or out in the community, whether they're in school, college, or university. And it somehow works, right? Because I wouldn't do it if it didn't work. And it works because I've had my own experiences. And so there's an authenticity about that. And I want to know what people's real experience is like. I remember when I was working in building sites, you know, I worked with people who were Black, and they seemed to be separate. And I always went and sat with them and had tea. I could not understand this. Believe my mother's Lebanese, so I've got some experience of having ethnicity in the background. She was an immigrant here. And so there's that. And the other thing is about work. Now, you can be in work and you can have your dignity stripped from you. I've done it. I've done it recently in the gig economy, because lockdown has forced me to look at other ways of revenue because I can't find audiences just now. But what it does is, you know, people go to work because they've got a job. Having a job is one thing. Having a purpose and having a sense of pride and a sense of responsibility, that's a whole different ballgame. So this SDG goal about, you know, decent work and a growth economy. Decent work is where you feel valued, where you've got significance, where you're earning enough to be able to participate and contribute to the economy. Because at the moment, we have allowed a working population to grow that requires state benefits to top it up. In other words, employers are getting money to pay for their employees, which strikes me as pretty daft. So we've got a big responsibility now to ensure that those people that have died during this COVID outbreak, their legacy is one that sees a world enriched. Populations around the world given that sense of identity, allowed to celebrate their culture, allowed to prosper, allowed to be enriched, allowed to flourish. And that means taking people out of poverty. But I would like to flip it and say, I don't want to talk about eradicating poverty. I want to talk about building wealth. And we've seen some great initiatives around this country and around the world where the whole strategy is about building community wealth. We've got some in England, we've got some in Scotland. We've got new retail models which are cutting out this huge commission base, which are taken up by the very large retailers. Part of the Scottish Design Exchange, where artists are able to display their products for a very small nominal rent, and they get 100% of the profits. It's a great retail experience, and it's a great distributor of money as well. So £3 million over the last 3 years have been given to artists who would otherwise be at home struggling to find any outlet for their work.
Mike,
yeah.
Can I just, there's a question that's come through, and maybe you could sort of pick the threads of this question up. Yeah. Are you ready, panel? But because of what Mike's been talking about, that's very passionate, Mike. I really like what you've been saying, and some solutions to some problems there. Can I hand over to Alex? Alex, what have you got?
No worries. So I've got a question from Chris Gibson here, who says, can child poverty be eliminated without first tackling gender inequality?
No, I think the two have to go hand in hand. I mean, one of the other thing I was going to say about what gives me hope now is the enormous explosion of women, taking leadership. In Scotland, we do well on that. Recently we had 3 political parties all led by women. And I'm a huge fan of that, because I think that women are better at leadership. That's a very controversial statement. I think they're better at leadership. And I think they're more empathetic. Someone said we need empathetic leadership. It's true. And, men have got to reinvent themselves now, because we've come from a culture, where machismo is all important, being the king of the manor is important. And we need to change leadership, and it's changing now. And you're absolutely right. You cannot have, the eradication of poverty without having equality of race and equality of gender. But there is hope now, because, Scotland, Iceland, New Zealand, Rwanda, I think Costa Rica, they have set, not GDP as their measure, but well-being. And isn't that a good, if you create a metric around well-being, then your economy relates not just to its size, because size doesn't matter, does it? Here's me asking a whole group of women that ridiculous question. I've just realized what I've said. But it's not the size of the economy, it's the impact that economy has on communities up and down the country, so that everyone has the chance to succeed and make a positive imprint in the world.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right, Mike, that is just so passionate. Sorry, I'm just going to be giving a... That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Mike. And has anyone else got a comment based on that question that Alex put out there in relation to child poverty and inequality and gender inequality? Anyone want to jump in on that one? We'll move on. I think we'll move on. Thank you, Mike. There'll be other questions coming through, and we're going to go over to Professor Jackie Carter. She's, am I saying this right? Are you a fellow in connection to the University of Manchester. What are you a fellow of?
I will show you my certificate, of which I'm incredibly proud. I'm a National Teaching Fellow. So I was selected by my university to go forward and was elected by my peers as one of the highest prestige awards that can be given to recognise teaching in universities in the UK. So I was awarded that this year.
Round of applause for Professor Jackie Carter, and in my hometown University of Manchester as well. Virtual gold star to you, and I'm going to hand the floor to you.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm really looking forward to contributing to this panel. Oh my gosh, I feel in very esteemed company. And it's so lovely to be on such a mixed panel in so many ways. It's very creative, it's very passionate, it's very driven, it's very full of insight. Not that academics are not all of those things, but there's something very special about the panel today. So thank you for the invitation. I'm going to get serious for a minute because my driver comes from trying to be the person in my students' lives that I wish I'd had in my life when I was between the ages of 18 and 21, okay? And I say that because I come from very humble origins, and the fact that I'm now a professor belies the journey that I have taken to get here. So I've had 3 different careers in my time, but they have all revolved around education. So education is absolutely at the heart of what drives me, and using education and educating young people, and not always young people because the student population is diverse in terms of age as well, but educating people so that they can take up opportunities that are open to them is where I fit in, and that's what drives me, and that's what I try to do. So I'll tell you a little bit about the goals that I am currently working around, and I'll try and relate what I say back to some of what the other panelists have said, because I think there's real segues into everybody's contributions so far. So there are 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals with 169 targets, and of those 17 goals, my work and my teaching, so I teach at the University of Manchester, hits probably 7 of those goals. So certainly the first 5, no poverty, 0 hunger, good health and well-being, you mentioned well-being, quality education, which absolutely runs throughout all of those, and of course goal 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women, but also reduce inequalities, which again is a cross-cutting goal, and Mike talked about that, and partnerships. So what I try to do is cohere my work around those goals. And what that looks like in practice is I'm currently teaching an undergraduate first-year course to social science students. So they've come to university to study sociology, politics, criminology, economics, philosophy, the social science and humanities. And they're not really interested in numbers, but they're passionate about the world and understanding it and its complexity and changing it. And so what I do is I teach them how we can measure concepts. So how do we measure inequality? And what does that mean anyway? Inequality in health, inequality in crime, inequality in gender parity. You know, how do we measure it? How is that measured by social scientists? And what I really aim to do is get them to become critical consumers of data, because we hear statistics bandied around by politicians, by people who write the news, by people on national TV programs. But unless you can actually critically evaluate that number, it's, to all intents and purposes, meaningless. So what I do is I give students confidence in being able to do that. And one of the things that I got the award for, and is very, very pertinent to this discussion, and hopefully my call to arms, and some of you will take this away and think about if you can get involved, is I developed a program 7 years ago. And I find that the students that I've talked about come to university, and some of them are not confident with using numbers. The economists are, because, you know, that's the sort of trajectory they've taken. But certainly the people that have been studying English and sociology and the humanities tend to think that they've left numbers behind by the age of 15 when they've stopped having to do maths as a compulsory subject. So they come to university and all of a sudden, you know, I give them this sort of critical analysis class. And so what I decided to do to help them become better acquainted with dealing with numbers in the way that they're interested in analysing data was to create this big internship program. Now, internships is a very laden term, and when most people hear about internships, they think unpaid labour, okay? And that's absolutely not what we set out to do. So we created this program of paid internships where we created short projects, research projects in a whole range of organisations, public, private, third sector, and we placed our students into those organisations to do a piece of real-world relevant research. It had to matter to the organisation. And then they come back and they talk about it. But we don't assess them. So we have this great big celebration event where they all come back and their host organisations come back. And it started in the first year with 19. In 6 years, we placed 250 students across about 60 organisations, including some internationally, and including some that are working directly on the Sustainable Development Goals. So my call to arms here is, I've got this amazing program. I've got access to incredibly motivated students. I cannot tell you how brilliant they are. And for one more year, I have funding to run this program. So if anybody on this event today is interested in coming up with a project in which we could place a student, obviously there are hoops to jump through, please reach out and contact me, and all of our contact details will be available. Now, that program was so successful, and not only did I get the award, I got, you know, recognition at the university. It's so successful that we're now taking it to Latin America. So I'm working with organizations in Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil to help them establish a baseline for their students to get that training. Because everything we've talked about, the SDGs are all about measuring progress, measuring development, okay? And we can't just say, yes, this is great, we need to do all of this. We have to measure it. We have to see if we've increased and improved on what the SDGs are measuring. Now, in order to do that, we need to train people. We need to train people to go into organizations and work with the data producers like the Office for National Statistics in the UK, like the statistical organizations in all of the countries that are involved in the SDGs, which are, you know, pretty much all of them. But then we need to give the power to the people who can question where there are gaps. So Dr. Leanne, you were talking about this earlier, and Feluke, you were talking about this, but we need to get those voices heard. So, you know, my goal really is about gender equality, and I'll come back to that in a minute, but we need to disaggregate the data so that we can answer those questions. We need to disaggregate it by ethnicity, by gender, by all of the cross-sectional, cross-cutting, intersectional elements that are captured in the SDGs. And we need to get people trained up, and we need leaders, and we need people to agitate and ask difficult questions so that if countries are not reaching their targets, they're held to account, their national governments are held to account. So that's not political, that's training, Carol. So that's really about making sure that we have the capacity within countries, both at citizen level, so the grassroots stuff that we're talking about here, but certainly at policy and politicians level as well. And just before I finish, I want to say a little bit about something that I've become involved with in the last 6 months. And this leads on from what Anna was saying in her opening speech, and pretty much what everybody else was saying about the pipeline. So I've talked about a particular section of the pipeline in education. Okay, you could expand that out in any shape or way you want. But we also need to think about what is systemically stopping us having equality, gender equality, and the other things we're talking about. And one of the big things that's stopping that is equality at home. So if women are taking a disproportionate amount of the burden of care, childcare, and that's been affected disproportionately by COVID because they tend to be not only running the house, looking after the children, doing the shopping, and keeping down a job if they've got a job, we have to address that. So your call to arms for men to get involved and be allies is absolutely taken on board. And I'm setting up with 4 other women, a group called Equality at Home. And what we're currently doing, we're only sort of starting off slowly. We've been running for about 4 months. We want people to come and help us. We want people to spread the word. We want people to get involved. We need hands to help us communicate with the communities that could most benefit from this. So Equality Starts at Home is a new movement that I'm involved with, because it seems that nobody else is really addressing this. And we can talk all we like to politicians and policymakers, but if we're not going back into the home and addressing that inequality that starts from a very, very young age, then we're missing a big trick. So they're my 2, please, Caroline, if that's okay. To
No, that's fine. Can you hear me, Jackie?
Yes, I can.
Yeah,
yes.
No, that's brilliant. Equality Starts at Home is kind of, if you think about it, 100 years ago or so, the suffragettes, the main ones, Emmeline Pankhurst and let's say Edith Rigby, could do what they could do in that time because they had the allies of Richard Pankhurst and Charles Rigby, their husbands, and that is equality at home. Charles Rigby looked after their son, and so it's not a new concept, but it's something that needs highlighting and moving forward. So yes, and you were at my you were on my panel for Women Like Us that I did with Lloyds Bank, and how did I close? I said equality, gender equality, the rise of women does not mean the fall of men. Okay, so thank you for that. Can you in the LinkedIn group that we have, the opportunity that you spoke about?
Of course.
Can you put that in there? Then by the magic of social media, I can put it on the feed, because the stream of positivity that we're having about all of you is just fantastic. And then I can get the team to put that information in the stream, so that if anybody has an idea, they can get in contact some way. So if you put that in our LinkedIn chat, and I can cut and paste and I can flick it over to the ether, I know my team are going, she is just so not techie. But it'll get there and people will see it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Roll call. Who have we got next? We have got an author and the UK and a teacher, so she, sharing knowledge, and the UK director of the Global Goodwill Ambassadors. We thank you. She wasn't well about 2 weeks ago, so I'm so pleased that you've managed to get a little bit better and to share this with us and share your views and tell us about your book, Gemma Smith.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm a teacher. I work full-time as a primary school teacher at a school called Willowbrook in Leighton, an academy. And I've been teaching now for just over 3 years. And I absolutely love my job. I love children, love the education system. Yeah, I just love to be involved. And I'm also an author of a book called The Light Within You that I recently published. Got it here with me. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. And I'm also the chair for Global Goodwill Ambassadors for the United Kingdom. So just a little bit about the Global Goodwill Ambassadors. We call it GGA. So if I say GGA, you know what that means. So it's a non-profit, and our mission is to utilise our family of global humanitarians all around the world to solve real life problems for the most disadvantaged parts of the world. So we focus on the Sustainable Development Goals, and we're hands-on, to assist women, children, the hungry, the homeless, and disadvantaged people as well. So we really get involved. We're all over the world, so I kind of represent the United Kingdom, and we're quite passionate about 3 Sustainable Development Goals in particular for the United Kingdom at the moment, and that's Sustainable Development Goal number 2, 3 and 4. So 0 hunger, good health and well-being, and quality education. So I'll tell you a little bit about Sustainable Development Goal number 3. I'll start with. good health and well-being. So at the moment, we have all agreed to act on a series of a kindness series, and we're putting that into practice each month. So what we've done is we've formed a 1-year plan whereby every month we're dedicating one particular theme that will be explored. And it's called the 12 months of kindness, and we're beginning with an initiative called Pebbles of Hope. So I don't know, you might have seen some pebbles before where you pick them up and they've got little messages on them, and we're painting messages, we're putting helplines on them, and we're advocating that for other people to get involved in, and also just for people to enjoy as well. And we're just really trying to spread that message of hope, and supporting lots of different projects and initiatives through those messages on these Pebbles of Hope. So we are also supporting Zero Hunger. So in December we're focusing on food banks and having like a reverse advent calendar donation. So instead of taking on an item each day, we ask that people place something into a basket, and then we'll be delivering that in full collection to those in need. And for the subsequent months, there'll be inspiring short stories, boxes of hope, a lockdown goodwill recipe book. We'll have poetry, inspiring quotations, children's views, the voice of our elders. So we'll be talking to lots of elderly as well and sharing their inspirational stories. And we'll also be listing 10 positive things to do. And also we'll be creating our own little versions of TED Talks as well. And we'll be sharing them with the Global Goodwill Ambassador community, but also the community at large as well. So throughout the 12 months, we're going to be putting together a little booklet to showcase those little projects that we're doing throughout the year, as long as photographic evidence of the outcomes. And then at the end of the year, this will be something available for people to read, but also if they want to act upon it as well and take on board the ideas, we'll be sharing that throughout the year on the LinkedIn community for Global Goodwill Ambassadors. So for Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education. So within the Global Goodwill Ambassadors, we have somebody called Chrissy Sykes, and she's the founder of a program called My Body is My Body. And that is a program that focuses on tackling child abuse. And it's a free program that offers live lessons for children to watch. It comes with a booklet as well, easily accessible lesson plans for teachers to just pick up and teach the children. It's available not just for GGAs, it's available for anybody. So literally, if you go on to the mybodyismybody.com, all of the resources can be downloaded from there. All of the information about Chrissy and the background to this program as well is available on there. And this is a fantastic initiative. It's being taught all over the world. It's really wonderful how many people have come on board with this already. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done, and there's still a lot of people, that can showcase this program. It's absolutely free. And whereas at the moment for GGA, you have to be a humanitarian supporter, so you have to donate to support one of our projects to take on board any of our courses. But for the My Body is My Body program, you actually don't need to be GGA. We're just encouraging absolutely anybody to jump on board with this. So that's really, I'm really passionate about that, and I'm really hoping, that people listening now, you can research that and access it and share it, and even parents, children. It's just a really positive force. And I'm also advocating wellbeing and mental health at my school. So I'm offering support and advice to the younger generation about their futures, and I'm preparing mental health lessons as well, because I think it's really important, especially during these unprecedented times. Mental health is something that needs to be at the forefront. And, aside from the academic lessons, it's really important that mental health is being spoken about, and children know that it's okay to not be okay, and we're trying to really encourage them to talk about their feelings. And that's running really well at my school. And also, I'm speaking to the trust at large of all the other schools interlinked there, so that's been really powerful. I'm also, as I said before, the author of The Light Within You, which also promotes positive mental health and well-being. And I'm actually offering this book, the ebook version, for free for anybody that takes our GGA UK course that we're currently developing. So that's going to be called Love, Light and Positivity. And it's a course that's starting in January on the 4th, 2021. And again, that's another free course. Once people jump on board with that course, my book is going to be sent out to them for free, because it really links in with the idea.
That's brilliant. You've sprung that on me. Oh, we've got to do homework. My goodness.
And within my book, I would say I'm really focusing on Sustainable Development Goal number 8. And I know, Mike, you spoke about that, about the work element, and I'm quite passionate about that as well. So I really advocate, for people finding their life purpose and their life art, not just work, getting up every day and going to work, but really fulfilling their passions and their goals. I think that's really important. So I talk a lot about that within my book. And again, more information about that can be found on my website, thelightwithinyou.co.uk. And so I'm really keen for anyone to contact me if they want to get involved and become a humanitarian supporter, so that they can then take the Love Light Positivity course, which is completely free. And also, if you want to talk about the book or about the My Body is My Body program, just feel free to get in touch. I'm more than happy to speak to anybody.
Yeah, our GGA family is just amazing. There's so many positive vibes. I wake up in the morning and there's like flowers and message of love, and I know it sounds very Glastonbury or whatever, Woodstock Festival, but it's just so nice, little video messages. But Chrissy's just amazing with I always get it wrong. My body, your body, my body is my body. And you'd get it wrong. That's something completely different entirely. But that is just a really fantastic initiative, and she works really hard, and so do you, from what you've gone through and explained. So, I mean, SDG 3 is something. Have you mentioned SD3? Because that's what you do, health and well-being.
Yeah, so that's literally SDG 3, good health and well-being. That's literally what we're focusing on within the 12 projects that we're running, the kindness projects. We're really focusing on the well-being, people's health, being there for one another, listening to the elderly stories. That really embodies SDG 3. We just recently agreed on the 12 projects, and we're really excited because it's something, like I said, we're going to put it together inside a booklet and then showcase that. And we're really focusing on well-being and just making sure that people feel that it's okay to do things for other people and not expect something in return. I think that's really important, and to be more of a giver rather than a taker, I think, is something we really care about, and just encouraging other people to jump on board with that and spread that goodwill and spread the kindness and just be there for people. It's just about having the open-armed approach and being approachable, and
Oh, thank you. So that's a round of applause. That's just fab. Before we move on to Andrea, after Andrea, we're going to have another of my students sing. No, we're not. We're going to have Faluki, and then we're going to have a student sing. I just want to say that Sally, can you give people can you just unmute yourself and give people a nudge in relation to the survey, because that is in the chat now.
It is, yes. This is a bit of a sort of SDG quiz. So if you can go to the link that was sent to you as part of your link to come and watch today, you should find there's a survey there. It's really short, 2 to 3 minutes, and it's got about 10 questions. And so then we'll test your knowledge. So there's no cheating allowed, but you might have got some of the answers already from what people have been talking about.
That's great. And Sally, this is Sally Midget Conway. She's Associate Director of the Zebra Partnership, and she heads up the marketing and communications internally and externally with the Zebra Partnership. So thank you for crafting that. I bet you had fun doing that multiple choice questions. I kept on going, and you put in there, because you know what I'm like, she put a comment, no cheating. Rude. Anyway, let's move on to Andrea Zapahova. She's virtually hitting me now, by the way I pronounced her name. She studied at the University of Aalborg in Denmark. We first met a couple of years ago. I went over with Susan Dolan and Joe to do a presentation and a lecture about different things in connection to the People's Hub, but also the Sustainable Development Goals. And when we were setting up, and my students will resonate with this because they go, oh, she's like that. Andrea and I could not sort out the tech. And instead of being really professional, we just started giggling, which was really funny. And I thought, you know what, friend for life. And so here she is. She was an intern, and she came over to the UK and spent time in the UK. She was part of the Levy Massive. So if anybody knows Levenshulme in Manchester, that's where she was based. She worked with Disability Stockport. You did a dissertation on Disability Stockport, didn't you?
It wasn't a dissertation, it was more internship project. But
yeah. So on Disability Stockport, liaised with the Pankhurst Centre and different organisations, spent some time with the Wei Yin Chinese Centre. And then part of one of the Zebra Partnership's large projects was working with FILA, which is the largest feminist conference. And we went over to Bradford and had a hilarious time on the way back with some giggly Africans in a car. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it puts a smile on her face, and that's the best time to hand over. Andrea.
Yeah, thank you so much for a lovely introduction. Once again, my name is Andrea Zapachova. I'm originally from Slovakia. And as Carol said, I'm a recent graduate of the Aalborg University in Denmark, where I studied development and international relations. And I'm here tonight because I would like to share my story and my experience of how I, as at that time, student, contributed to the fulfillment of the Agenda 2030, fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I would like to divide my activities into two parts, the ones that I've done on the local level, and then the other one that I've done on the global level. And yeah, I will start with the activities that I've done on the local level. As I mentioned before, I was based in Aalborg, which is the fourth biggest city in Denmark. And it has quite big student community living in there because there is a big university and also a college. And there is so many also like Danish students, but also many international students studying there. Not surprisingly, that there is also a lot of non-profit organizations, charities, student communities and organizations that students can join if they want to spend their time actively. And, you know, I was one of these very proactive students. And when I came to Denmark and I started to study at the university, I decided to join not one, but two NGOs at the same time. I was that motivated. The first one was called ISEC, which is a youth-run non-profit organization, which was established after World War II, and it's a very well-known international organization. Maybe some of you heard of that. And this NGO is focusing on providing volunteering and internship experiences abroad for young people. Me personally, I was a member of ISEC, and I was responsible for spreading awareness about what ISEC is and what we are doing in order to attract young people to go abroad, to go on internship or become a volunteer, spend their time actively, discover new cultures, get out of their comfort zone, but most importantly, to contribute to sustainable development goals, because every project that we were offering was connected to at least one of them. The second NGO that I would like to talk about is called UNIA, which stands for United Nations Youth Association. And it basically tries to educate young people about the UN activities, about the Sustainable Development Goals. And it also tries to empower young people to be more involved in international affairs and in civic society. And UNIA is trying to acquire through various activities that are done on the local level. When I compare it with the ISEC, ISEC is focusing on projects abroad, whereas UNIA was trying to focus on the activities on the local level. And I was personally part of different types of events and activities. For example, we did Aalborg cleanup, where we were cleaning the city, picking up the trash. And also, I helped to co-organize several discussion events. And thanks to Unia, actually, as Carol mentioned, I got a chance to meet her because she came over together with Susan Dawn and with Jude Murray, and they talk about the activities that they are doing in Manchester in relation to Sustainable Development Goals. And they were also talking about the People's Hub. So I'm very happy that tonight is the day when we are officially launching the People's Hub website. And I really hope that people will come and visit the website and that they will get an inspiration if they don't know how they can contribute to Sustainable Development Goals. So yeah, that being said, I would like to move to the activities that I've done on the global level. And I will particularly focus on my 2 volunteering experiences, the one that I've done in Indonesia and another one that I've done in Serbia. So let's start with Indonesia. I spent there 6 weeks. It was last year during the summer break. And I participated in a project called EduAction, which you can assume from the name was focusing on improving the quality of education among young people in the city called Semarang, which is located in central Java in Indonesia. So I directly contributed to SDG number 4 there as I was teaching their kids in the elementary school. And I would like to talk about one thing that was very striking for me because I was teaching in 2 institutions. The one was located in a very poor area of the city where kids or where parents of the kids couldn't afford to send their kids to schools, to proper schools, because they didn't have money for that. And instead, they were sending them on the streets to beg. And there was a lady who was running some kind of a community center, or we can also call it school, but it wasn't officially recognized by the authorities as a school. And she was trying to persuade the parents to send the kids to this school instead, so she can educate them a little bit, and she can help them to socialize and maybe in the future help them to get out of this poverty. Because education is the key, is the first step. So if they will receive a proper education, if they will learn how to write and read, they will be able to find a better job. And that potentially can help them to get out of the poverty. And I was there as a teacher. Of course, they couldn't understand what I was saying because I was talking in English all the time and they couldn't speak one single word. But we found a way of how we can communicate with each other. We were singing, we were dancing together, And believe me or not, but after 6 weeks of coming there and teaching them Slovak songs, they were able to speak and sing in Slovak. I just couldn't believe that. That was absolutely amazing. And I really felt the energy and I really felt the positivity there. So I'm really hopeful and positive about this kid. And I really truly believe that they will get out of this poverty from the place where they are now, because it was really sad to see that in the 21st century that there are still people living in such a poverty. And yeah, then that's the one school where I was teaching. And then there is a second school, which is a total opposite, because the second school was located in a very wealthy area of the city. It was a private elementary school where only privileged kids and very rich kids could afford to go. It also had a very special kind of teaching approach. It was a student-centered approach where kids were deciding what they want to learn, not the teacher. The teacher there was just a facilitator. So me, for example, I wasn't there to teach them something. I was just there to help them to find the answers by themselves. And the point that I wanted to make here is that I went to Indonesia primarily for contributing to SDG number 4, which is quality education. But I realized that there is such a huge inequality gap in there. You can see it in one city, not in one country, but in a city. You can be literally standing on one street where only poor people are living. And you can cross 1 or 2 streets and you will suddenly appear on a street where only rich people are living, so it is literally like that. And you can see it everywhere you go. So I think that I also indirectly contributed to SDG number 10, which is reducing inequality, because I was trying to teach these kids in order to help them in the future. So that's my experience in Indonesia, and I will jump to my experience in Serbia, which was a little bit different, but still I contributed to same SDG goal, which was SDG number 4, quality education. I spent in Serbia 1 month. It was this year in January, before pandemic hit the world. So I still had a chance to go somewhere and do something for society. And I was working or volunteering for a nonprofit organization called Collective Aid, which is active in Serbia, but also in Bosnia and Herzegovina and France. And this NGO is particularly focusing on providing a psychosocial support to migrants and refugees who are mostly coming from Afghanistan and Pakistan, and they are trapped in Serbia in the transition camps. My main role there was to provide this psychosocial support through various activities. We're mostly teaching languages like English, German, or French. And we're also having art classes, music classes, doing sport activities, and also having discussion classes where we talk about the cultural differences. And, people are not talking about it, but migrants are this type of the group that is experiencing serious mental health problems. And the governments where these migrants are not focusing on providing them a psychosocial support at all. They are providing them food, shelter, hygiene, warmth, but they are forgetting that mental health is as important as any other basic needs that we have. So I'm very grateful that I got this chance to join this NGO that is solely focusing on providing this psychosocial support, because I could see that these people really needed such a place where they could come, could gather, could talk, and can forget at least for a few hours about the problems that they have to face while they're on the journey. So yeah, I think I would end up here. There is way more that I can talk about, but I don't think I have.
There is way more you can talk about.
And the time for that, so I hope that people can ask me the questions if they are interested about something that I did.
But we'll be getting all of you back anyway next year. But thank you so much. Can we give Andrea a round of applause, because it's nice to hear. And I'm not patronising you, Andrea, from a younger person and what they've experienced. Typical you, signing up for not one but 2 NGOs. But what experience you've had, and that there's so much things that should change. That poverty shouldn't be there at all. And this is one of the things that the People Hub is trying to do. We can't, what's that weird phrase? We can't boil the ocean. That means do everything at once, or eat the elephant whole. That's a horrible one, but you know what I mean. We can't do it all at once. But you know what? If we wave and pull and work together, I think we can. We definitely can. We can achieve. We're 5 years in to the Sustainable Development Goals. We've got 10 years. 9 and a bit, really. But we can make inroads. We really, really can. That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now before we go to our final panelist, Feluke Michael, in Nigeria, I thought we'd have a little bit of a musical interlude. This college, Access Creative College, basically the 4 pathways of this college, it's basically my CV. It is my curriculum vitae, my resume. It is music, it is media, it's games, and it's events. And events is the new kid on the block, and that's what this college is. And I feel really, really passionate. I'm kind of like I swan about like Big Mama Carol, embracing everybody. But when we do anything, I try and get all the pathways involved. So we've got some media students doing behind the scenes photography, the camera work, the event production students setting up the studio, and then pulling in the vocal artists where they can, because they need the experience. Our creative industries need our support. So this next singer that we've got on, this next student, she's going to sing something now, and she will close the event as well. And her name, I'm going to take the mickey now. Her name is Ruqayya, and her surname, I can never say it. So her showbiz name is Ruqayya B. That's how I'm saying it. And and she was on a programme on the UK's BBC. There she is. She looks lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, look, you've changed your hair.
I know, thought I'd switch it up.
Yeah.
But I join you in the
dreadlock
dreadlocks
in.
That's what
like
I mean.
Me. Lockdown locks, me and
You will love
Ruqayya.
it. We love to see it.
Okay. I'm going to hand over, but she was on the BBC The Search, which is a little mix programme, and she was on that 2 weeks ago, which was fantastic. So I'm going to hand over to you, Ruqayya. This song now, then some more panel speaking, and then you come back and close the show for us.
Smashing.
Okay, over to you, girlfriend.
I wanna turn those blue lights into strobe lights, and not blue flashing lights, maybe fairy lights. Those blue lights into strobe lights, maybe even fairy lights, not blue flashing lights, no. Don't you run when you hear the sirens coming. When you hear the sirens coming, you better not run, 'cause the sirens are coming for you. What have you done? You went to school that day. Was a bit late, but it wasn't Monday. Kept after class for answering back. You apologize, where's the harm in that? What have you done? There's no need to run. If you've done nothing wrong, blue lights should just pass you by. Gun crime into your right ear, drugs and violence into your left. Default white headphones flooding the auditory subconscious waves. You accept. You're sitting on the floor back home. Where you at, G? Answer your phone. Pause the poison to answer his message. Your voice sounds rush fierce for his adolescence. What have you done? There's no need to run. If you've done nothing wrong, blue lights should just pass you by. Tall black shadow as you're getting off the bus. Shadow shows no emotion, so what's even the fuss? But the face of your boy casts a darker picture of the red-handed act. He's gonna whisper, look blood, I'm sorry 'cause I know you've got my back. He was running, I couldn't think I had to get out of that. Not long ago you were miming to the shook ones. Now this really is part 2 'cause you're the shook one. Hands on your tool as you question your friendship. As man like you gonna make me a convict. Never let a fellow when I've done nothing wrong. Blood on my hands but I don't know where it's from. Now you got blood on your hands but you don't know where it's from. Oh, oh, oh. You better run when you hear the sirens coming. When you hear the sirens coming, you better not run 'cause the sirens not coming for you. What have you done? Run when you hear the sirens coming. Better run, run. Thank you.
Tell me, RB.
RB.
Yeah, RB. So, what's the behind the song? What's the story?
So the artist wrote it. Obviously, it was because of all the knife crime and the gun crime and the police brutality, and how like kids in London and places like that, like underrun places, how they're just like more or less pushed towards this life that they don't necessarily need to live.
Your portrayal and rendition of it, really, really powerful. Really powerful. Go on, have a cup of tea, because it is afternoon tea with the SDGs. Go and pop and have a cup of tea, and a little treat for you later. Do you know that genius John Lennon? Right, where she's going to sing Imagine and do it in Rakaya B style. Okay, so see you later.
I'll see you later.
Thank you so much. Ooh, how did you feel listening to that panel? Unmute. I want feedback.
Fantastic. I think it was really fantastic, and I loved the lyrics, and I loved the whole kind of testament, you know, of a young person about this awful, you know, attack on young people of color. Because I think that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. But you know, sometimes with some young people generally, because Latin America, I mean, you know, Jackie, you know this with the sort of the crime and the gangs and that kind of thing in Latin America. There's pockets of it all over the world, and it's just some useless things that are happening. But I want to end on a lighter note, because there's some fantastic work happening in the continent of Africa. Nay, let me narrow it down. Fantastic work happening in Nigeria. Sister Faluke Michael, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing very great.
Oh, it's nice to have you on. I could say lots of things about Faluke, so I've got some notes here. I mean, I want to see if I can get this up now. I'm really rubbish with technology. Look at me. But anyway, Faluke is basically a global disruptor. Funnily enough, she went to university here in the Northwest at University of Salford. So when I mention certain places, St. Peter's Square, Central Library, the Midland Hotel, she knows what I'm talking about, which is fantastic. You know, Andy Burnham, our GM mayor that's been, right on for the people. So Faluke went to university in Manchester, and also as well with some of the work she's been doing. I think it was 2018 at the Global Festival of Action. You won an award, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you won an award, so about that. And you've just been on the cover of MyPad. What does MyPad stand for?
Yes, that's the most influential of African descent.
Yeah, the most influential person of African descent on our panel today. I think I'm going to pass out. I'll just hand it over to you. Come on.
Thank you so very much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the song. Carol, the world needs you. After this session or after today, I would need to speak to you, because I spoke about people like you that are really touching the world with creative art. I mean, this is what the world needs at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so humbled to be among these esteemed panelists. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've learned a lot. Like I said, when they bring me in as guest speaker, I always say, look, I'm a learner. So when I come to places like this, I tend to learn more than actually speak. Quickly, I'll go through that. Professor Jackie is there to give us data and baseline for SDG, the world needs you. And Mike is talked about the poverty line and how decent work can help us to achieve the goals, okay? And Dr. Lee, I love I love fashion, okay? She's brought the aspect of sustainable fashion, and now the 17 SDGs are embedded in just one item, which is cool. I mean, you've got electrifying people right in this all right now. And I've got Jama that's been talking about, look, you're just working with future generation. The world needs you. Because if we really truly want to change the world, we need to start from where you are right now. German, thank you for what you're giving to the world. And Andrea, I love your stories. I love storyline, because storytelling, it's a powerful tool to achieve the SDGs. What you've brought on board today is really inspiring. And I think this is what the world needs, how we can look into inequality and, of course, span in quality education. Quickly, I'll jump. I wear so many caps, but I'm going to try and summarize. Who is Foluke Michael? Like Carol has rightly said, I just don't believe that something is impossible. Maybe that's the aspect of me that is disrupting. Look, you see everyone around us, nothing is really working well, and you really want to make it work, and this is where I come in. So what do we do? What do I do? I love the planet. Meaning that whether you're green color, you're white, you're brown, you're black, you're just my family in this planet. So the planet has to be very sustainable. What are the SDGs that Folu promotes? Initially, we started with SDG 4, SDG 16, 17, and 3. But in just after I'd won the award in Bonn, Germany as the best innovator in the world at that Global Festival of Action for Sustainable Development, I wore a different cap. So I went out of that festival with key takeaways. Guess what I said? This is why I am where I am right now. So I was given the microphone. Folu, tell this over 120 something countries what you're going to do next. And I took that microphone that afternoon and I said to the world that, look, I'm going to create a movement who would change the world. This word haunted me all through 2018. And I said to myself, if I've made this promise under the platform of United Nations, I've got to fulfill this promise. So in summary, I gave the world something and is now going around the world for replication. So that's 2018. I was at the UN General Assembly and I saw all sorts of leaders, presidents of nations. And I said to myself, how do we help them achieve this sustainable development goal in 2030? It's a big and ambitious dream. It's actually a daring dream as well, because you're talking about all the nations around the world. An idea came to me. This idea, I had to juggle with my teams, and I told them, look, we need to be known not just for what we do, but to change the world. It has to be like a slogan. You know what we did? We condensed goal 1 to 17, 1, 2, 3, up to 17 into one and created a model. This model is called Solution 17 for Sustainable Development Goal, meaning that all of us in this room, you need the model, because we're using Solution 17 to solve one problem per time. So we've been able to develop Solution 17 for SDG 3, good enough as we speak. Just about months ago, the United Nations had to adopt the Solution 17 for SDG 3, and it's on their website. 1, as success story. 2, as inspiring breakthrough. 3, as good practice that will help the Commission to achieve Sustainable Development Goal in 2030. So we have this model that can be replicated all around the world. Now, where has this taken us to? They are in 2 ways. 1, in order to solve inequality, poverty, good health and well-being, Solution 17 is actually developing projects, initiative for social impact and for profit. I run a non-profit organization. I know what it is to look for money. So under our initiative, we are completely sustainable. What are we doing? We're raising projects. We're developing projects for implementation that would help the project initiators and others working on the project. So we have the project angle. So how do we promote this project that we have created all around the world? Then we went to the aspect of creative art. Ladies and gentlemen, just behind me here is an artwork completed for climate change. So we have 17 of this work here, each representing Sustainable Development Goal. We have them in this studio where I am right now. And we've had, our project covers the vision of the child for the children. We have the the Creative Youth Community Development Initiative, and we have the corruption aspect, we have the drug abuse, we have all sorts of projects. So it is safe to let you know that I work from goal 1 to goal 17. And we have projects for each of these goals, so we can work together on a larger scale. So what are we using artwork, music, and poems, literature to do? This is our amplification. Look, we have 17 projects on climate action right here in Nigeria. I can't take all of these to Manchester, I won't take them to New York, but the art can go everywhere to amplify our work on climate action. We have art for drug abuse, that to amplify our work on SDG 3. We have for corruption, that which has won several awards. This is our education material. It's been adopted by UNODC in Austria for dissemination all around the world. And we also have education material with the government of Austria. So we're actually creating projects, platforms that anyone around the world can actually align with, and you will use it so successfully because they are very simple model that anyone can think of. Of course, we've done that successfully also in India. We've done that. We're trying to do that right now in Spain before the COVID-19 setting. So in summary of all of this, we're looking at the world that is sustainable. And how do we make this world sustainable? It is by working with partners all around the world. Nothing is small. Please, there is no small organization. If you're doing something little in the corner of your community, you are a big deal to the world. And we're encouraging you to take Solution 17 around the world and use them. Just about a few weeks ago, September 25, we launched Art for Climate Change. Climate change is another very huge crisis that we must not allow the world to go through. So we are working with university, we're working with researchers, we're working with faculties. What are we doing? We have brought university students together, like Professor Jackie was so passionate about our students. We also have countless number of students right now. 17 of them have made all of those projects, and they are implementing at the moment. For that, we are encouraging students, undergraduates, and even graduates to get involved in our project. So that was launched on September 25 in celebration of UN at 75. And we had the UN Deputy Secretary General who gave the keynote address. And what he said to us, which was taken away from that show, was, don't give up. Go into the world, ensure everybody participates in this. And she said finally that the UN has given you platform to do this. Go and make it happen. I will make the video available for you that came out from the UN headquarters just last month. And basically, I just want all of us to know we're very important. If you need to talk about my experience, the next 2 hours, we're talking about different projects. Do you want to talk about the primary school that I work with? You want to talk about the secondary school that I work with in Nigeria and Africa? You want to talk about the university and the young graduates on entrepreneurship, Solution 70 for entrepreneurship that we work with. But like I told you, in summary of all of this, there is something we must give back to our world. We must leave a legacy. SDG is a platform that has been given to all of us, leaving no one behind in the world, to do something in your local community. So as Folu, I have the Solution 17 way that shapes our future. It's like a simple book that I'm going to give to you after this talk. Look at the book, digest it, work with it, change the world. You are just the change maker that the world is waiting for. Oh, Carol, even before I just close right now, imagine all of us on this panel session coming together to form a formidable team for the world today. If we make that decision, in the next 1 year, we will shake the world.
Cool.
It won't be about Foluke alone.
You are obviously reading my mind, Faluk. So this is a team. We're building a force for good. This is a team. I've not pulled you all together just because. I know that you can all effect change. I've said that to some of you individually. Some of you I'm collaborating with on things individually. But yes, what is
Right.
the
So
rope? The rope is several
what we have right now
strands, and that's
is
what makes it strong.
right.
What I'm going to do, because each of, like I say, I'm crafting the summit next year, and each of you, I want to have a conversation about how you fit into that, what you can do, have concurrent workshops where people can attend. So if people are looking at sort of expert by experience and poverty, but also from a motivational point of view, that in my head straight away, Mike. If they're looking at data and how, you know, things can work within their country and the community, also equality at home, Professor Jackie, health and well-being, straight to Gemma, and also sort of empowering the young, that's Andrea, and without a doubt, fashion, that goes to the woman in the hat over there, Dr. Leanne. You've all got your role to play in my zebra tribe for the People's Hub. You see, it's October, I'm just like a witch brewing. Anyway, thank you, Farouk. Before I need to wrap it up, because I did say that we were going to finish at 5:30. It's 8 minutes to 5. But, you know, we've had so much love, so much positive feedback on the YouTube stream. Alex is tripping over himself with all the stuff. What I want to do is make sure that that some of you get the questions. And before I bring Rakaya on to close, I just want to thank our guests, each and every one of them. So Dr. Leanne Teal-Rutkowski, Mike Stevenson, Professor Jackie, Andrea Zapahova, Gemma Smith, Faluke Michael, and we had the Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Councillor Anna Rothery, welcome us right at the beginning. Michael Pardon from the People's Hub, telling us how things work, where it's going to go, and the vision for the future. And then not forgetting who opened for us, lovely Ella Smith and Mackenzie Ryan, the two vocal artists that opened for us. And then my motley crew, look at them looking at me through the screen. Yeah, physical distancing has its benefits. So you met Alex. He's one of the co-captains for the event. Alex Davis, member of the Youth Parliament, campaign founder. Holly O'Neill as well, that you can't see. None of them are going to come in front of the camera. Daniel Mason on tech, lighting me up and making me look fabulous. He's saying some weird things now. Lucy Prince on social media, and Sam Nagler running about like a blue, there's a phrase that I won't say, but it involves rushing about crazily. But he was the graphic designer for the complimentary brochure that people who have registered onto this will get after we've signed off. So basically you'll have information about every single one of our speakers and how to get in contact with them and how to sign up for the People's Hub. Who else have I missed? I have missed Caitlin Mulhern and Erin Tierney. And of course, our film, video and photography students. Again, wonderful people behind the camera, Storm, Neil and Katie Smith. What a fabulous team to bring this event to you. So, what am I going to say? I'm going to put the... Yes?
Are amazing and remarkable and stupendous and everything. And it's just been such a privilege and exciting, however long it's been, to work alongside you since we first met. So on behalf of all of the panelists, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to take my scarf off. This is my SDG scarf that I was given at the United Nations, and I'm gonna wave it, and I'm gonna say thank you for that. That's lovely. That's me waving my SDG scarf, and I'll put it there. Thank you for that. What was put up by the UN was, we are resolved to free the human race from tyranny of poverty and want and to heal, secure our planet. We are determined to take the bold and transformative steps which are urgently needed to shift the world onto a sustainable and resilient path. As we embark on the collective journey, we pledge that no one will be left behind. And that's from the United Nations, a 2030 agenda for the Sustainable Development Goal. But you know what I want to add to that? Don't leave it to the few. Don't leave it to the individuals who want to do it for profit, looking for shortcuts at the expense of others and the planet. All the ones trying to greenwash, we've heard about that. The ones trying to blackwash, we've not talked about that. We only have 10 years to go. It's simple, and I'm going to use an African phrase. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, we are going to go together. Where's Rakaya? I need her at the mic. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello.
She's not shy, I tell you, honestly. I'm gonna leave the floor to Lockdown Locks. Rakaya B, over to you, girl.
Bet these earphones look daft on me. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's fine. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Over to me. Over to me. Stand there. Social distancing. Camera on me. Bend down in camera shot. Oh, that was fantastic. 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 Don't get too close.
Distance.
Chills down my spine. Wasn't that absolutely beautiful?
Thank you.
Thank you, all the people from around the world. I know that we have lots of people. Faluki Michael, you have got an African fan base like you would not believe. There are, woo, Mama Faluki.
I'm coming to Manchester. I'm going to bring all of this painting. I have an idea.
Bring the paintings to Manchester.
Because we need 17 people from Access Music to create music for all of these paintings for United Nations.
Oh, do you know what? That is a fantastic idea. I'll be talking to the big cheeses. The big cheeses in charge about that. Get them involved in that. That'll be fantastic. Did you enjoy that? So our Lord Mayor of Liverpool, you know, a son of Liverpool wrote that.
Wow.
Where are you, Lord Mayor of Liverpool, Anna Rothery? Did you like that?
I'm sorry, I have to dip out for a short time, but I was listening to you. So.
She was fabulous.
Yeah, son of Liverpool, yeah,
and there was some fantastic stuff. We've recorded this and it will be circulated again so that you can listen, take notes and move on. Yeah. Everybody from the four corners of the world who have been online watching this and sending the love by the comments, can I thank you so much. We're going to sign off now, fade to black. Panelists, stay on so that we can have a chat. Please have a blessed weekend and stay safe.
Bye to everyone around the world.